What would you do if someone humiliated you in the worst way possible, stripped you of your dignity just to prove they had power over you? Malik, a quiet black teenager, walked into a barber shop for a simple haircut, but what happened next would change his life forever. A racist woman, filled with hatred and arrogance, decided she had the right to humiliate him. She grabbed the clippers and shaved his head, laughing as if he was nothing. But what she didn't know. Malik wasn't just any kid, she had just messed with the son of the city's new police chief, and by the time the night was over, she would regret it in ways she never imagined. Will justice be served? Will Malik let this humiliation slide? Or will karma strike in the most unexpected way? Let me know in the comments, what would you do if someone disrespected you like this? And where in the world are you watching from? Make sure to like, subscribe, and share so you don't miss more powerful stories like this. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. Now, let's dive into this intense and action-packed story. The summer heat pressed down on Mayfield, a quiet town with secrets lurking beneath its surface. 16-year-old Malik Johnson walked into the local shopping plaza, his afro full and proud, his confidence radiating with every step. He was on his way to meet his best friend, Trey, at the barbershop. Across the plaza, Karen Whitmore, a woman in her mid-40s with sharp, judgmental eyes, spotted Malik. She sneered, disgust clear on her face. Ever since the new police chief arrived in town, she'd felt things were changing too fast for her liking. And people like Malik, young, confident, and black, were a reminder that her traditional town wasn't the same anymore. As Malik entered the barbershop, the door chimed. Trey greeted him with a playful jab to the shoulder. Man, you took forever. Trey laughed. Malik grinned. I had to help my mom out before coming. You know how she is. They both sat down, waiting for their turn. That's when Karen walked in, her high heels clicking against the floor. She wasn't here for a haircut. Excuse me, she said loudly, addressing the shop owner, Mr. Rodriguez. I need a word with you. The older man put down his clippers and stepped toward her. What can I do for you, ma'am? She pointed at Malik. That boy over there, his hair is unkempt, unprofessional. This is a respectable town, and we don't need people walking around looking like. Mr. Rodriguez cut her off. Ma'am, I don't see a problem here. He's a paying customer, just like anyone else. Karen's eyes flared. If you won't do something about it, I will. Before anyone could react, she lunged forward, grabbing a pair of clippers from the counter. Malik barely had time to turn before she yanked him back by his hair and powered the clippers on. The buzzing sound filled the shop. Malik's heart pounded as he felt the cold metal press against his scalp. Hey, what the hell? Trey shouted, jumping to his feet. Mr. Rodriguez and another barber rushed forward, but Karen moved fast, carving a jagged path through Malik's thick afro before they could pull her away. Malik shoved her off, stumbling to his feet, his head partially shaved, his hands trembling with rage. Karen smirked, satisfaction gleaming in her eyes. There. Now you look decent. Silence filled the shop. The tension was thick, suffocating. Malik's fists clenched at his sides. You're going to regret that, he said through gritted teeth. Karen scoffed, flipping her hair over her shoulder. I'd love to see you try. She turned to leave, but Trey blocked her path. You think you can just do that and walk out? Trey said, voice low and dangerous. Karen's smug expression faltered for a moment. Move, she snapped. Malik stepped forward. No. You don't get to humiliate me and walk away. Before another word could be said, the sound of police sirens roared outside. A squad car pulled up. The doors burst open, and 2 officers stormed in, weapons drawn. Everyone down. Hands where we can see them. One of the cops shouted. Mr. Rodriguez raised his hands. Hold on. There's no, shut up. Karen smiled, stepping toward the officers. Officers, I was just defending myself from these thugs. They got aggressive when I suggested the young man clean up his appearance. Malik's jaw tightened. That's a damn lie. The lead officer, a burly man with a square jaw, turned to Malik. You threatening this woman, boy? Before Malik could answer, Trey stepped between them. You can't be serious. The officer pulled his gun on Trey. Hands up, now. Trey raised his hands, fury in his eyes. Malik slowly raised his as well. "This is insane," he muttered. Karen folded her arms. "I expect them to be arrested." The officer nodded. "We'll take care of it." But before he could grab Malik, a gunshot rang out from outside. The officers spun toward the door, another shot. Then a third. Screams erupted from the street. One officer rushed to the window. "We got a situation out there." The moment of distraction was all Malik needed. He moved fast, grabbing Trey's arm and ducking behind the barber chairs. "Stay down." Mr. Rodriguez yelled. The lead officer cursed and ran toward the door, while the second officer followed, weapons drawn. Karen backed away, unsure what was happening. Malik peeked outside. Across the street, 3 masked gunmen were shooting at a jewelry store, bullets shattering glass and sending bystanders scrambling. The cops fired back, engaging in a full-on shootout. Malik exchanged a look with Trey. "We need to get out of here. Now." Trey nodded. "Agreed." But before they could move, Karen turned back to them, rage in her eyes. "You're not going anywhere." Malik glared at her. "You really want to do this now?" Karen reached into her purse. Trey tensed. "She's got something." Malik lunged forward, grabbing her wrist before she could pull it out. She shrieked, struggling against him. "Let go of me, you." He twisted her arm, forcing her to drop the small pistol she had hidden. It clattered to the floor. Trey picked it up. "Damn, she was ready to kill us." Malik stepped back, staring at Karen in disbelief. "You're insane." Before she could respond, the gunfight outside intensified. Bullets zipped past the barbershop windows. The officers outside ducked behind their squad car, exchanging fire with the gunmen. One of the shooters tossed a Molotov cocktail toward the store next door, flames erupting upon impact. Chaos ruled the street, and Malik knew this was only the beginning. The street was pure chaos. Glass shattered, bullets zipped through the air, and smoke billowed from the burning store. Malik's heart pounded as he ducked behind a barber chair with Trey. Karen scrambled to her feet, her face twisted with rage. "You assaulted me," she screeched. Malik ignored her. He peeked through the shattered front window. The gunmen were well armed, their faces hidden behind ski masks. They moved with precision, clearly more than just common criminals. One of the officers crouched behind his squad car, yelling into his radio. "We need backup. Now." A gunman pivoted, unloading a burst of automatic fire in his direction. The bullets tore through the squad car's windshield. Forcing the cop to duck lower, Malik clenched his fists. Every fiber of his being told him to run. But something deep inside told him that wasn't an option. Trey tapped his shoulder. "We can't stay here, man. That fire is spreading fast." Malik glanced at the flames licking the walls of the shop next door. The fire alarms shrieked, and thick, black smoke poured through the cracks. If they didn't get out soon, they'd be trapped. Mr. Rodriguez, still crouched behind the counter, coughed as he tried to wave the smoke away. "We have to go, now." Karen, still fuming, didn't seem to care about the growing danger. She stormed toward Malik. "You little thug, you think you're getting away with." Before she could finish, another burst of gunfire rattled the air. The squad car outside exploded, sending metal and glass flying in all directions. The blast knocked Karen off her feet. She hit the floor hard, groaning in pain. Malik shielded his head as debris pelted the barbershop. Trey pulled him up. "Move. Now." They dashed for the back door. Mr. Rodriguez helped Karen to her feet, despite her protests. "I don't need your help." She spat. He ignored her. "We all need to get out of here." Malik threw the door open. The alley behind the shop was narrow and dimly lit, filled with dumpsters and crates. Smoke drifted through the air, the acrid scent burning his nostrils. They weren't alone. A fourth gunman stood at the other end of the alley, holding a rifle. His mask was slightly pulled down, revealing the edge of a scarred jaw. He turned at the sound of the door creaking open. His eyes locked onto Malik. "Run." Trey shouted. The gunman raised his rifle. Malik barely had time to react before the man opened fire. Bullets tore through the air, punching into the brick walls. Malik and Trey dug behind a dumpster, while Mr. Rodriguez pulled Karen back into the doorway just in time. The gunman advanced, his boots crunching against the pavement. He was coming to finish the job. Malik's mind raced. He had no weapon. No cover. No plan. Then he remembered the gun Trey had taken from Karen. Trey, the pistol. Trey fumbled in his pocket, pulling it out. It was small, but it was something. He tossed it to Malik. The gunman was almost on them now. Malik took a deep breath, steadied his hands, and popped up from behind the dumpster. He fired. The shot rang through the alley, slamming into the gunman's shoulder. The man stumbled back, cursing. Blood seeped through his jacket. Malik fired again, but the gun clicked. Empty, damn it. He hissed. The gunman recovered quickly, raising his rifle again. But before he could fire, another shot rang out, his head snapped back, and he crumpled to the ground. Malik turned toward the source of the shot. It was the second cop from earlier. He stood at the mouth of the alley, gun smoking. His face was pale, sweat dripping down his forehead. The cop lowered his weapon. "You kids okay?" Malik nodded, still breathing hard. Karen, still clutching her bruised arm, pointed at Malik. "Arrest him. He shot someone." The cop ignored her. "We need to get out of here. More of them could be coming." Malik exchanged a glance with Trey. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. The alley was deadly quiet except for the distant crackle of flames and the fading echoes of gunfire. Malik's pulse pounded in his ears as he stared at the downed gunman. The officer who had just saved them, a young cop named Martinez, kept his pistol raised, eyes darting for threats. "We need to move," Martinez said. "There could be more of them." Trey nodded. "Yeah, no kidding." Karen, still shaking, pointed at Malik. "I said arrest him. He shot that man." Martinez scoffed. "Lady, he just saved your life." Karen's face twisted in fury. "He's a criminal. His kind always is." Malik stepped forward, fists clenched. "Say that again, I dare you." Trey grabbed his arm. "Not now. Man. Let's just go." Martinez motioned for them to follow. "Come on. We'll cut through the back streets." Mr. Rodriguez pulled Karen along, despite her protests. The group moved quickly, slipping through the dark alleyways, their shoes crunching against gravel and broken glass. The heat from the burning storefronts made the air thick and stifling. As they reached the end of the alley, Malik peeked around the corner. The streets were chaos. 2 more police cars had arrived, their flashing lights illuminating the smoke-filled air. Officers crouched behind their vehicles, exchanging fire with the remaining gunmen. One of the masked criminals was down, but the others weren't giving up. Then Malik noticed something chilling. One of the gunmen, a tall figure in a black tactical vest, was slipping away from the fight. He wasn't retreating, he was repositioning. And in his hands was an M4 carbine. Malik's gut twisted. "That guy, he's circling around." Martinez followed Malik's gaze and cursed under his breath. "Damn it. He's trying to flank my guys." Trey exhaled sharply. "We have to stop him." Karen scoffed. "We? You mean them?" "I'm getting out of here." She started to walk off, but Mr. Rodriguez held her back. "If they don't stop him, we're all dead, lady." Karen's lips pressed into a thin line. Martinez turned to Malik. "You're sure you saw him?" Malik nodded. "He went behind that abandoned diner." Martinez hesitated. "I should call it in, but there's no time. If he gets the drop on my guys, it's over." Trey looked at the empty pistol in Malik's hand. "Man, we need real firepower." Martinez glanced at the fallen gunman from earlier. His rifle was still lying beside him. The cop made a quick decision, grabbing the weapon and tossing it to Malik. Malik caught it, his fingers wrapping around the cold steel. The weight of the weapon was heavier than he expected. He had never used an assault rifle before. "You know how to handle that?" Martinez asked. Malik checked the safety, chambered around, and nodded. "I do now." Trey smirked. "Damn." Martinez looked at him approvingly. "All right, we'll move together. Slow and quiet." They moved out, keeping low as they crossed the street. The abandoned diner loomed ahead, its windows shattered and walls covered in graffiti. Smoke curled from nearby buildings, turning the air thick and hazy. They reached the side of the building just as the gunman reappeared from behind it, rifle raised. Malik didn't hesitate, he fired. The first shot clipped the gunman's shoulder, spinning him sideways. The second shot slammed into his vest, knocking him against the wall. The gunman grunted in pain but wasn't down yet. He staggered forward, raising his weapon. Martinez fired twice. The bullets found their mark. The gunman collapsed to the ground, blood pooling beneath him. Malik exhaled, his hands shaking slightly. He had just taken a life. Trey clapped him on the shoulder. "You good?" Malik swallowed hard. Yeah, I'm good." Martinez checked the body, then looked at Malik with newfound respect. "You saved a lot of people tonight." Karen, who had watched everything from a distance, stepped forward. You shot him?" Malik turned to her, his expression unreadable. "Yeah." Karen's mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. Sirens wailed in the distance. More backup was coming. Martinez nodded toward the police blockade. "Let's go. This isn't over yet." Malik tightened his grip on the rifle. He had a feeling he knew exactly what Martinez meant. The distant wail of sirens grew louder as the group emerged from the alley, stepping into the smoldering wreckage of the street. Flames still flickered in the remains of the barbershop, the acrid stench of burning wood and plastic filling the air. The surviving gunmen had scattered, their bodies either on the pavement or retreating into the shadows. Malik's pulse was still racing from the firefight. The weight of the rifle in his hands felt strange, yet somehow natural. Martinez motioned for them to move toward the police blockade. "Stay low. We don't know if any more of them are lurking." Trey nudged Malik. "Man, you were insane back there. I didn't know you could shoot like that." Malik exhaled slowly. "I didn't either." Karen, still in shock, walked stiffly beside Mr. Rodriguez. She had barely spoken since watching Malik gun down the masked man. She kept stealing glances at him, her expression a mixture of fear and something else, confusion. As they approached the police line, a commanding voice rang out, "Drop the weapon. Hands up." Martinez stepped forward. "Officer down," he shouted. "Martinez, badge number 4421. We have civilians." A group of officers advanced cautiously, their weapons raised. One of them, a sergeant with graying hair, narrowed his eyes at Malik and Trey. "Who the hell are these two?" Martinez gestured to Malik. "This kid just saved my ass back there." The sergeant ignored him and turned his glare toward Karen, who immediately pointed a trembling finger at Malik. "He's dangerous. Arrest him." She shrieked. The sergeant sighed. "Ma'am, calm down." Karen's eyes bulged. "Did you see what he did? He killed a man." Martinez stepped in front of Malik. "That man was about to murder my officers. He did what he had to." The sergeant exhaled sharply. "All right, everyone, back to the perimeter. EMTs are inbound." He eyed Malik. "You, put the gun down." Malik hesitated, then carefully placed the rifle on the pavement. Two officers stepped forward, frisking him. Trey frowned. "You're treating him like a suspect. He just saved your people." The sergeant ignored him. "What's your name, kid?" Malik squared his shoulders. "Malik Carter." The sergeant stiffened slightly. He studied Malik's face as if trying to remember something. Then, without a word, he turned away, speaking into his radio. Martinez patted Malik's shoulder. "It's just protocol, man. You're not under arrest." Karen scoffed. "He should be." Trey stepped toward her, his fists clenched. "Lady, I swear." Martinez pushed him back. "Not now." At that moment, a convoy of black SUVs roared onto the scene. Their tinted windows reflected the burning wreckage as they came to a stop. The police officers snapped to attention. The doors flew open, and heavily armed men in tactical gear poured out. Securing the area, then, the last SUV's back door opened, and a tall figure stepped onto the pavement, a man in a dark suit, his presence commanding and undeniable. Karen's face paled as she saw him. The police sergeant walked over and spoke to the man in hushed tones. The man's expression hardened as he listened. Then, his gaze shifted toward Malik. He started walking. As he got closer, the streetlights illuminated his face. Malik froze. Trey whispered, "Yo. Is that?" Malik nodded slowly. It was his father, Police Chief Samuel Carter. Karen's breath hitched. Oh. My. God. Chief Carter's gaze swept over the scene, the burning shop, the wounded officers, the rifle on the ground. Then, finally, he looked at Malik. What the hell happened here? The street fell into a stunned silence as Chief Samuel Carter's piercing gaze swept over the chaos before locking onto his son. The tension in the air was thick, every officer standing at rigid attention, waiting for the chief's reaction. Malik's heart pounded in his chest. He hadn't spoken to his father in weeks. And now, here he was, standing over a battlefield, a rifle at his feet, with Karen's eyes burning into him like he was the criminal. Chief Carter slowly approached, his polished dress shoes crunching against broken glass. The streetlights glinted off his badge as he studied the destruction. Finally, his gaze shifted to Martinez. Report. Martinez straightened. Sir. Multiple hostiles ambushed officers. The situation escalated quickly. This kid, Malik, engaged the enemy and took down one of the gunmen. Saved my life and possibly more. Chief Carter's expression remained unreadable. He turned to the sergeant, who nodded in confirmation. Karen, still shaking, found her voice. You're not just going to let this thug get away with. Chief Carter's head snapped toward her. Excuse me. Karen faltered but pushed forward. He assaulted me. In the barber shop. Then he shot a man. Chief Carter took a deep breath, clearly holding back his anger. Martinez. Did Malik act in self-defense? Yes, sir. The chief turned his attention back to Karen. And the assault? Karen's lips curled in disgust. I was just trying to teach him some respect. He was being rude, and she hesitated, as if realizing she might have said too much. Martinez frowned. She put hands on him first, sir. Karen's face turned red. That's a lie. I was just. Chief Carter raised a hand, silencing her. Then he turned to Malik. Son. Tell me exactly what happened. Malik took a steadying breath. I was getting a haircut. Karen came in, started harassing Mr. Rodriguez, then turned on me. She insulted me, tried to humiliate me. Then she grabbed the clippers and shaved part of my head. Karen gasped. That's not. Chief Carter ignored her. Then what? Malik's jaw tightened. I lost it. I pushed her back. Karen smirked. There. You admit it. Chief Carter shot her a glare so sharp she immediately fell silent. Malik continued, then these guys rolled up with guns. They started shooting, setting fires. We barely got out. He gestured to Martinez. The officer helped us escape through the alley. One of the shooters tried to flank the cops, so we stopped him. Chief Carter exhaled, rubbing his temple. Damn it. Karen stepped forward, regaining some of her confidence. I don't care whose kid he is. You saw what he did. He belongs in handcuffs. Chief Carter turned slowly, his face dark with restrained fury. You assaulted my son. Karen's mouth opened and closed. I should have you arrested. Karen's face drained of color. Arrested? Chief Carter leaned in slightly. You humiliated him. You put your hands on him. You provoked him. And now you want him locked up. Karen took a step back. I didn't. The officers exchanged glances. The sergeant crossed his arms, clearly enjoying watching Karen squirm, but before Chief Carter could say more, gunfire erupted down the street. Trey cursed. Yo, they're coming back. The remaining gunmen had regrouped. They came in fast. 3 SUVs screeched onto the street, doors flying open as masked men poured out, unloading their weapons on the police blockade. Bullets ricocheted off squad cars. Officers scrambled for cover. Chief Carter immediately drew his weapon. Everyone get down. Malik dove behind a police cruiser with Trey and Martinez. Karen screamed, ducking behind a concrete barrier. The street erupted into chaos. The gunmen were better prepared this time. They moved with military precision, fanning out to trap the officers. One of them pulled out an RPG. Martinez's eyes widened. Rocket launcher. Move. The shooter fired. The rocket streaked through the air, slamming into a squad car. The explosion rocked the street, sending flames and debris in all directions. Malik coughed, shielding his face. His ears rang from the blast. Chief Carter barked orders. Flank them. Take them down. Officers returned fire, but the gunmen were relentless. 2 cops went down, clutching their wounds. Malik's breath quickened. He spotted a fallen officer's shotgun nearby. Trey saw it too. Go for it, man. Malik nodded and made his move. Bullets whizzed past as he sprinted toward the weapon. He slid across the pavement, grabbing the shotgun just as a gunman spotted him. The man raised his rifle. Malik fired first. The shotgun's blast ripped through the attacker's chest, sending him flying backward. Trey whooped. Hell yeah. Chief Carter, impressed but focused, called out. Malik. You stay close to me. Malik pumped the shotgun. Adrenaline surging through him. Got it. The battle wasn't over, not even close. The battle raged on as the gunmen pressed forward, using the burning wreckage and abandoned cars for cover. The night sky flashed with muzzle fire, the sound of gunshots echoing through the streets. Malik ducked behind a police cruiser, his heart hammering. Trey was right beside him, gripping a pistol he'd taken off a fallen officer. Chief Carter crouched behind another car, barking orders into his radio. We need backup. Heavy fire on 14th and Jefferson. Officers down. Martinez fired his rifle over the hood of a wrecked taxi, dropping one of the attackers. They're trying to box us in, Chief. Malik peeked over his cover. A gunman was creeping along the side of a wrecked van, trying to flank the officers. Malik took a breath, steadied his grip on the shotgun, and squeezed the trigger. Boom, the blast tore through the van's metal, sending the attacker sprawling. Trey grinned. Damn, bro. You been training behind our backs. Malik shook his head. I just know I don't want to die tonight. Karen was still crouched behind a concrete barrier, her hands over her ears. Her face was streaked with dirt, and her expensive clothes were torn. She flinched as another explosion rocked the street. Somebody stop this madness. She shrieked. No one paid her any attention. Another masked gunman vaulted over a parked car, landing just a few feet from Malik and Trey. He raised his rifle. Trey fired first. His shot hit the man's shoulder, spinning him around. Malik followed up with a shotgun blast that sent him crumpling to the ground. Chief Carter called out, "Move up. We need to end this now." Malik, Trey, and Martinez advanced, using the wreckage as cover. The remaining gunmen were getting desperate, firing wildly as they retreated. One of them yanked open the door of an SUV and tried to drive off. Chief Carter didn't hesitate. He lifted his pistol and fired 3 precise shots. The windshield shattered, and the driver slumped over the wheel, the SUV crashing into a light pole. The last 2 gunmen tried to run. Malik raised his shotgun. But Chief Carter put a hand on his shoulder. Let them go. Malik hesitated but lowered the weapon. The officers swept in, securing the scene. The gunfight was over. The street was littered with bodies, both police and criminals. Smoke billowed from burning cars, casting eerie shadows against the flashing red and blue lights. Martinez exhaled. That was insane. Trey wiped sweat from his forehead. We're still alive, though. Chief Carter turned to Malik, his expression unreadable. Son. You did good tonight. Malik swallowed. I didn't want to see anyone else die. Chief Carter nodded, pride flickering in his eyes. Then, a weak voice cut through the silence. Karen. She stumbled forward, her hair disheveled, her face streaked with soot. She pointed a trembling finger at Malik. You're his son. Malik turned to her, his eyes cold. Karen let out a hysterical laugh. This whole time. She shook her head, disbelief washing over her features. Chief Carter crossed his arms. What's the problem, Karen? You seemed real confident when you were humiliating him earlier. Karen's mouth opened, but no words came out. The reality of what she had done, who she had done it to, finally sank in, and it was too late to take it back. Karen stood frozen in place, the weight of her actions crashing down on her. Her lips trembled as she looked from Malik to Chief Carter, realization sinking in like a dagger to her chest. I didn't know, she whispered, her voice barely audible over the distant wail of sirens. Malik stepped toward her, his face unreadable. Didn't know what? That I had a father. That I wasn't just some thug you could humiliate. Karen shook her head violently. No, I wasn't thinking. Chief Carter's eyes bore into her. You just what? Karen swallowed hard. I made a mistake. Martinez scoffed. That wasn't a mistake. You knew exactly what you were doing when you grabbed those clippers. Karen's gaze darted around, as if searching for someone to defend her. But there was no one. Not anymore. Trey crossed his arms. You humiliated him, then called him a thug when he fought back. And when those gunmen attacked, you wanted him arrested while he was out here saving lives. That's who you are. Karen took a shaky breath. Please, Chief Carter raised a hand, silencing her. He looked at Malik. Son, what do you want to do? Malik was quiet for a long moment. He stared at Karen, the woman who had belittled him, humiliated him, tried to ruin him. He thought about the way she had looked down on him, the disgust in her voice, then he thought about how she looked now, shaken. Terrified, powerless. I don't need revenge, Malik said finally. She has to live with what she did. Karen exhaled sharply, relief washing over her face. Oh, thank you, but, Malik continued, I want her arrested. Karen's breath hitched. Wait, what? Chief Carter nodded. Martinez. Cuff her. Karen's face twisted in horror. No. You can't. Martinez grabbed her arm, twisting it behind her back as he snapped the cuffs onto her wrists. You're under arrest for assault, he said flatly. Karen screamed. No. This isn't fair. You can't do this to me. Chief Carter stepped close, lowering his voice so only she could hear. You put your hands on my son. You humiliated him for your own sick pleasure. You got away with things like this before, didn't you? He narrowed his eyes. Not this time. Karen's legs buckled. Please, take her away, Chief Carter ordered. Martinez shoved Karen forward. She stumbled, still wailing, still begging. But no one listened. As she was dragged to a waiting squad car, Malik let out a slow breath. It was over. Trey nudged him. You good, man? Malik nodded. Yeah. I think so. Chief Carter put a firm hand on Malik's shoulder. Let's go home, son. Malik smiled. For the first time that night, he truly felt free. Wow. What a ride. Malik's story was filled with action, suspense, and the kind of justice that makes you think, was that enough, or did Karen deserve even worse? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share so you never miss another powerful story like this. And tell me, where are you watching from? I love hearing from all of you around the world. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.